situations. I know exactly what it feels like to be erased. I know the feeling of driving away from the big house and wondering if you'll ever be welcomed back inside. Situations for years, I was the one making headlines for leaving, but now the silence coming from Texas is deafening. Everyone keeps asking situations, where are Justin and Claire? Why haven't we seen them in over a year? Did Jim Bob cut them off? And when I see the rumors, the band tape situations, the missing wedding ring theories, the accusations of a feud, it doesn't just look like drama to me. It looks like a pattern. It looks like the same punishment I faced when I started asking questions. My little brother Justin was always the peacekeeper. Situations. But you can only keep the peace for so long before you have to choose a side. Has he finally chosen? Has he actually escaped the control of the IBLP? Or is something much darker happening behind closed doors? I'm Jill, and today we need to talk about the lost boy who might truly be lost to us now. Situations. This is the story of Justin's disappearance. Hello, everyone. It's Jill. If you've been following my journey, situation, you know that stepping away from my family's public image was the hardest thing I've ever done. It came with lawsuits, tears, and a lot of therapy. But recently, the spotlight has shifted away from me and towards my younger brother, Justin. Or rather, it has shifted towards the absence of him. For the past year, Chins, Justin, and Claire have been virtually a ghost on social media. In our family, silence is loud. We were raised to document everything, every birthday, situations, every milestone, every gathering. It's how we prove to the world that we were happy and blessed. So when a Duggar goes dark, situations. When they stop showing up in the background of the holiday photos, it sets off alarm bells. I've seen the comments, situations. Where are they? They okay? Did they get divorced? People are speculating wild things because the vacuum of information is so big. But from where I sit, situations, that silence looks familiar. It looks like boundaries. When Derek and I first started setting boundaries with my dad, we pulled back too. Situations, we stopped going to the big gatherings because it was just too painful to be in a room where you felt judged. Seeing Justin vanish from the public eye tells me one thing: he is trying to figure out who he is without an audience. And in a family like ours, situations, reclaiming your privacy is the first act of rebellion. To understand why Justin's disappearance is so shocking, you have to remember who he was growing up. Situations, Justin is number 14. He was smack in the middle of the Lost Boys route. Growing up, he was always the sweet one. He was compliant. He didn't cause trouble. Situations. He was the kind of kid who would give you a thumbs up and smile for the camera whenever mom asked. He wasn't like me or Jinger. Situations, who had these distinct personalities that sometimes clashed with the rules. Justin flowed with the current. He was dad's good soldier in a lot of ways. Situations, he worked on the cars, he helped with the properties, and he never really complained. That's why his sudden departure to Texas was such a plot twist. Usually, the golden children, the ones who follow all the rules, stay close to the nest, they settle down 5 minutes away from the big house. They work for dad. They raise their kids exactly how mom raised us. But Justin, he broke that mold completely. Situations, watching him go from the obedient little boy in the matching polo shirt to a young man who seemingly wants nothing to do with the Duggar brand is jarring. It makes me wonder what happened behind the scenes that turned the easy child into the estranged one. We have to talk about the Spivys. When Justin started courting Claire, we all noticed something different. Usually, when a Duggar boy courts the girl comes into our world, she moves to Arkansas. Situations. She joins our church. She becomes a Duggar. But with Justin, it was the opposite. He was the one spending all his time in Texas. Hillary Spivey, Claire's mom, situations, welcomed him with open arms. And I think for Justin, that family dynamic was intoxicating. The Spivys are conservative, yes, but they are different. Situations, they seem more affectionate, more open. Justin was practically living there before they were even married. I look at it as an escape hatch. I think Justin saw a loving, functioning family unit in Texas, and he realized what he was missing at home. Situations. In a house with 19 kids, you don't always get that individual attention. You don't always feel seen. Hillary made him feel seen. She posted about him. She praised him. Situations. I think he latched onto that validation. Moving to Texas wasn't just about marrying Claire. It was about being adopted into a new family structure where he felt valued as Justin, not just Duggar kid number 14. Justin got married at 18. 18 situations, even for our family. That is incredibly young for a guy. My brothers usually wait until they are a bit older. John David was in his late 20s. Joseph and Josiah were in their early 20s. But Justin barely had his driver's license before he was walking down the aisle. Why the rush? Situations. The official answer is always purity and wanting to be together. But I look at it with a different lens now. I think he rushed because marriage was his ticket out. Situations. In our culture, you are under your father's authority until you are married. You can't just move out at 18 and get an apartment. That's seen as rebellious. Situations. But if you get married, you are technically a head of household. You are free. I suspect Justin knew that the only way to get out of Arkansas and get away from dad's control was to fast track that wedding. Situations, he needed to establish his own household so he could legally and spiritually say, situations, I'm making my own decisions. Now it breaks my heart to think that he might have felt he had to get married just to get freedom. But that is the system we were raised in. Situations. It forces you to grow up way too fast. The physical move to Texas is the biggest piece of evidence that something is wrong between Justin and my parents. Situations, you have to understand, dad likes to keep everyone close. He builds houses for the kids on the compound. He offers them jobs at the car lot. He creates this web where it is very, very convenient to stay and very hard to leave. By moving ours away to Texas, Justin cut the cord. Situations, he removed himself from the daily influence of the big house. He isn't there for the Monday night family home evenings. He isn't there to help with the chores. Situations, he isn't there to be part of the filming or the promotional stuff. I know from experience that distance provides clarity. Situations, when Derek and I stopped going over to the house every day, the fog started to lift. We started realizing, wait, that's not normal. That's not healthy. I imagine Justin is going through that same deprogramming right now. Being in Texas, surrounded by the Spivys and away from Jim Bob's immediate oversight, he is probably seeing his childhood in a whole new light. And that clarity, it's dangerous for the status quo. Situations, it's probably the very reason why he hasn't come back. There is a pattern I've seen with a lot of people who leave high control groups situations. They don't always leave for freedom. Sometimes they leave for a different kind of cage. When Justin latched onto the Spivey family, I was relieved he had support. But I also felt a twinge of worry. Hillary Spivey, Claire's mom, is very involved. You can see it on social media. She is everywhere. She comments on every post. Situations, she is in every photo. It reminds me a little bit of the enmeshment we grew up with. In the IBLP, boundaries aren't really a thing. Situations. Your parents are your authorities forever. I worry that Justin might have traded dad's authority for Hillary's. Is it better? Maybe. Situations. It definitely looks more affectionate. But true freedom isn't just swapping one set of rules for another. It's learning to trust your own voice. I look at Justin and I wonder if he has had a chance to figure out who he is apart from being a son or a son-in-law. Situations, when you go straight from your father's house to your mother-in-law's house, you skip that crucial step of standing on your own 2 feet. Situations, I hope he isn't just seeking approval from a new parent figure because that cycle is hard to break. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the rumors that Justin is banned from the big house. People ask me if this is true. While I can't speak to private conversations between him and dad, I can tell you this, dad operates on loyalty. If you are not loyal, if you move away, if you stop attending the conferences, if you stop playing the game, you are distanced. Banned is a strong word. Dad usually doesn't put up a keep out sign. It's more subtle. Situations. It's the soft shunning. You just stop getting the invites. You stop getting the calls. You become an outsider in your own home. I lived this. Situations. When Derek and I started pressing for payment for the show, we weren't explicitly told never come back, but we were told we needed permission to visit. Situations. We were treated like liabilities. If Justin has asserted his independence, especially financially, dad would see that as a threat. And in Jim Bob Duggar's world, situations, you are either an asset or a threat. There is no middle ground. So if Justin is staying in Texas and ignoring the family summons, it is very likely that dad has put up a wall. The silence we see. Situations. That's the sound of that wall being built. Money is the ultimate control mechanism in our family. Growing up, we didn't have personal bank accounts. Situations, everything went into the family pot. Dad controlled the contracts, the real estate, the cars. It was designed that way so that you couldn't leave. Situations, how can you move out if you have zero credit history and no cash? For Justin to leave at 18, he had to have help. Situations, dad reportedly gave him a house in Arkansas for $1, which he fixed up and sold for a huge profit. That was his seed money. But here is the catch. Usually, Waish's dad expects a cut. He expects that money to be reinvested into his empire. If Justin took that money and ran to Texas, oh, situations, that would be the ultimate betrayal in dad's eyes. That money was supposed to be the leash that kept him close. If Justin cut the leash and took the cash, that explains the animosity, explains why he isn't welcome back. Breaking the financial dependence is the scariest part of leaving situations, but it's the only way to be truly free. I remember the terror of filing our own taxes for the first time, realizing we had been exploited for years. If Justin has realized that too, he is probably holding onto his wallet and his freedom very tightly. So what does Justin actually do in Texas? Situation, he's flipping houses, he's working in construction and real estate. It's the trade all the Duggar boys were taught. We were raised to be industrious, to work with our hands. It's a good skill. But I watch his career with a lot of curiosity. In Texas situations, he is working closely with the Spivey family's construction business. Again, it's that question of independence. Is he building his own company? Situations, or is he just a worker bee for another family dynasty? There is a pride in building something that is yours. When Derek passed the bar exam, situations, it was an achievement that had nothing to do with my dad. It was ours. I want that for Justin. Situations, I want him to flip a house and keep the profit without feeling like he owes a tithe to the patriarch. Watching him hustle in Texas, looking exhausted in some photos but happy, it gives me hope. Hard work is therapy. Situations, building a literal wall in a house might be his way of building a metaphorical wall against the control he left behind. Let's talk about the divorce rumors. This is every time Claire posts a photo where her left hand is hidden or where a ring is missing, the internet explodes. Is it over? Did they split? I get it. Situations. We got married young. Statistically, the odds are stacked against teen marriages. But I think people are misinterpreting the signs. In our circles, situations, divorce is the nuclear option. You don't break up, you stay, you make it work. The pressure to stay married is even heavier than the pressure to get married. However, a missing ring might signal something else, deconstruction. When I started questioning the IBLP rules, my wardrobe changed. My jewelry changed. Maybe Claire taking off her ring isn't about leaving Justin. Maybe it's about leaving the performance. Maybe she's just washing dishes. Situations. But the panic around it shows how fragile the happy ending narrative really is. Fans know that our upbringing sets us up for struggle. Situations, they are waiting for the cracks to show. I don't think they are divorced. Cheers, but I do think they are struggling to figure out what a marriage looks like when the cameras turn off and real life begins. There is a nuance here that the tabloids always miss. Situations, when people see a Duggar acting different, dressing differently, pulling away, situations, taking off a ring, they immediately scream divorce. But I think what we are seeing with Justin and Claire might not be the end of a marriage, situations, but the end of a belief system. We call it deconstruction. When I started deconstructing, everything changed. My relationship with Derek changed. Yes, situations, but it got stronger because we were facing the world together. If Justin and Claire are questioning the IBLP teachings, the rules about authority, situations, the rules about modesty, the rules about absolute obedience. That process is messy. It looks chaotic from the outside. Situations, maybe the missing ring isn't a sign of separation from each other, but a separation from the performance. In our cult, everything was a symbol. Situations, the ring was a symbol of ownership. Maybe taking it off is just Claire saying, situations, I don't need to perform for you anymore. It's possible to be happily married, but unhappily religious. If they are walking through that fire together, situations, they aren't splitting up, they are waking up. Tuation and waking up is a violent process that often looks like destruction to the people still asleep. I can't look at Justin's situation without seeing my own scars. Situations, when Derek and I were first soft banned from the family, it was confusing. We were told we were loved. Situations, but we weren't allowed to come over for dinner without an invitation. We were treated like a contagion. Situations, dad was terrified that our rebellious ideas would infect the other kids. I see that same dynamic happening with Justin. He has tasted freedom. He lives in a different state. He has different influences. To dad, that makes him dangerous. If Justin comes back to the big house and tells the younger boys, hey, life in Texas is great. You don't have to follow every rule, that threatens dad's control. So the solution? Quarantine. You cut off the limb to save the body. Situations, that's what happened to me, and I believe that is exactly what is happening to Justin. The tragedy is that Justin is just a kid. He's in his early 20s. Situations, he should be able to come home for Sunday lunch without it being a political statement. But in our family, your presence is conditional on your compliance. If you aren't complying, you aren't welcome. We used to call the middle group of brothers the Lost Boys. It was a joke, but it was also kind of true. When you have 19 kids, the older ones, like me, got the parents' intense focus. The younger ones got the grandparent version of mom and dad. But the middle ones, situations, Justin, James, Jackson, they kind of raised themselves. They traveled in a pack. They were always working, always running around, but they didn't get that deep shins. One-on-one emotional mentoring, I think that lack of connection makes it easier for them to walk away. Justin didn't have the same deep situations, emotional tether to mom that maybe I did growing up. Being a lost boy means you are used to being overlooked. You are used to blending in. So when Justin disappeared to Texas, it was almost like nobody noticed until he was already gone. He used his invisibility as a superpower. Situations, he slipped out the back door while everyone was watching the older kids' scandals. And now that he's gone, situations, the family is realizing that the quiet ones are actually the ones you have to watch out for. The biggest red flag for me was Christmas. In the Duggar family, Christmas is mandatory. It's the one time everyone gathers. We do the big piles of gifts, the ugly sweaters, the chaos. Even the black sheep usually make an appearance for the sake of the grandkids, but Justin and Claire, no show, not a single photo, not a tag. They stayed in Texas. To miss Christmas is a statement. It's a declaration of independence. It says, we are not just busy situations, we are opting out. I remember the first Chris Derrick, and I spent alone. It was lonely, but it was also peaceful. We didn't have to walk on eggshells. Situations, we didn't have to dodge passive-aggressive comments. I imagine Justin and Claire sitting in their living room in Texas, maybe with just the Spivys, situations, feeling that same mix of sadness and relief. Missing the holiday isn't just about scheduling, it's about protecting your mental health. It's saying, I love you, situations, but then there is Claire. When she first came on the scene, she was vibrant online. She posted cute outfits, coffee dates, updates, situations. She was building her brand, and then poof, gone. Her Instagram became a ghost town. Why would a young influencer age girl go silent? To her situations, I think she saw what happened to us. She saw the hate comments, she saw the scrutiny, but more than that, I think she saw the danger of being visible. In this family, situations, visibility equals vulnerability. If you post, you give people ammunition. Her silence feels protective. She is shielding Justin. She is shielding their marriage. Situations, it's almost like she looked at the carnage of the Duggar reputation over the last few years, the trials, the scandals, and decided, nope. Situations, we are not playing this game. I respect that. It takes a lot of discipline to turn off the comments and just live your life. But it also makes me wonder, situations, is she silent because she wants to be or because she's hiding something painful? Is the silence peace or is it a muzzle? I hope for her sake, it's peace. The $1 million quest, are Justin and Claire actually out of the IBLP or are they just modern IBLP? There is a difference. Situations, we've seen some of my siblings wear pants and listen to secular music, but they still hold on to the core harmful of beliefs about authority and gender roles. Situations. When I look at Justin, I see the aesthetic changes. I see the shorts. I see the more relaxed lifestyle. Situations. But the Spivey family is still deeply connected to the Institute. They go to the conferences. They are friends with the leadership. Situations. This makes me worry that Justin hasn't fully escaped the ideology. He's just switched to a lighter, friendlier version of it. Situations. True freedom isn't just about what you wear, it's about how you think. It took me years to untangle the fear that was planted in my brain. The fear that if I disobeyed a rule, God would strike me down. Situations, I hope Justin is doing that internal work. If he is just following the Spivvy's rules instead of Dad's, he's still in a cage. Situations, even if it's a nicer cage with better decorating, I pray he finds the courage to question everything situations, not just the things that are inconvenient. I talk a lot about being under the thumb. It's a phrase we heard growing up. Situations, you are under the protection and the control of your authority figure. For a long time, Jim Bob Duggar's thumb was massive. It covered our finances, situations, our marriages, our filming schedules, everything. Justin is the first of the younger boys to try to wiggle out from under that thumb, and we are seeing the reaction. Situations. The thumb presses down harder when you try to leave. That's why we see the banning, the silence, the awkwardness. Situations. It's a punishment designed to make you scurry back to safety. But here's the secret I learned: the thumb only has power if you stay small. Once you stand up, once you realize you are a grown adult capable of making your own choices, the thumb loses its grip. Situations. It's scary to step out from under that protection. You feel exposed. You feel like the sky is going to fall. But I want Justin to know that the sky doesn't fall. Situations, you just learn how to hold your own umbrella. The cost of removing yourself is high. You lose family. You lose status. But the reward is ownership of your own soul. I have to mention our cousin Amy here. She has been a vocal outsider for years. She sees things we missed because she wasn't raised in the thick of it. Amy has hinted multiple times that the environment Justin left was a toxic. She's the one who says the quiet parts out loud. When Amy speaks up about the control dynamics, it validates what I feel. She has been a safe harbor for some of us who have left. Situations, I wonder if she has been that for Justin too. The fact that she still follows him and Claire and interacts with them. Situation tells me that the bridge isn't burned with everyone. Amy represents the normal world. For Justin to see her living a life without fear, without the IBLP rules, situations that had to be impactful. She proves that you can be a Christian without being in a cult. If Justin is leaning on her, that's a good sign. Situations. It means he is looking for allies outside the walls. We need people like Amy to remind us that the way we were raised wasn't normal and that it's okay to walk away from it. People ask me, will you ever reconcile with your dad? Will Justin? That is a heavy question. In our family, reconciliation usually means compliance. It means coming back, apologizing for leaving, and getting back in line. If that is the definition, then no, I don't think Justin will reconcile, not if he wants to keep his independence. But if reconciliation means a relationship based on mutual respect, boundaries, that takes two people. Right now, it seems like dad isn't willing to meet us in the middle. He wants the control back. Situations, I grieve the relationship I could have had with my parents. I'm sure Justin grieves it too. Situations, it hurts to not be able to just call your dad for advice without strings attached. But I have learned that you can love someone from a distance. Situations, you can honor your parents by living a healthy life, even if they don't understand it. I hope Justin finds peace with the fact that he might never get the approval he craves. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's part of growing up. So, situations, where are Justin and Claire? They are in the wilderness. They are in that messy, quiet, beautiful space between who they were told to be and who they actually are. Situations, they have paid a high price for their silence. They have lost the approval of the patriarch. They have been erased from the family narrative. Situations, but to my brother Justin, if you are listening, the silence is worth it. The struggle is worth it. I know it feels lonely right now. Situations. I know you probably miss the chaos of the big house sometimes, but keep going. Keep building your own life in Texas. Keep asking hard questions. Situations, you are not lost. You are just found in a different place. The road to freedom is lonely, but you are not walking it alone. I'm walking it. Jinger is walking it. Situations, we are all finding our way. And one day, I hope we can all sit down at a table, not as soldiers in an army. Situations, but as brothers and sisters, and tell our story without fear. Until then, keep your ring off if you need to, keep your door locked if you have to, and keep finding your own way. We are rooting for you.